Hey everybody, welcome to GBE Reviews. I'm your host Joe, and today I'm going to be talking about the anime Isekai no Seikishi Monogatari. This one is one of those anime that excite me to review. The main reason is because I think my services will be quite valuable. This anime in particular is going to really appeal to some people and not appeal at all to others. So let's get to the bottom of who would like it and whom should pass. Isekai no Seikishi Monogatari is a 13-episode anime produced in 2009. This one is interesting in that it's an original work not sourced from anything other than it being a spiritual successor to a late 90s anime series, Tenchi Muyo. Each episode is roughly 45 minutes, so it feels a lot longer than 13 episodes, and it's basically a 2-season anime. Okay, so let's talk story. The story of Isekai no Seikishi Monogatari is simple on the surface and yet very complex. The gist of it is that Kenshi has come from another world into the current world and is tasked with assassinating a newly crowned queen. In the end, he's not able to do it and thus is captured by the queen and put under her service. From there, he learns the world he is in. What makes this world unique is that there are fighting machines that use some sort of life force to operate, and these machines are conscripted to each kingdom as a defense force. Kenshi and Lashida, the queen, end up at the Holy Land, which is the school for most female pilots of these fighting machines. The major plot from there is that the Holy Land is attacked by an evil emperor, and Kenshi and the others need to fight to stop them. Sounds pretty simple, right? So here's the problem. Minus the fun and casual antics and broad overall story, the specific details are very hard to follow. I didn't understand most of the terminology, where and how everything was related, and the difference between a Seikijin, a Seikishi, a Seikishin, Ida Seas, Ida Streams, and all sorts of other complex terminology. I had a hard time understanding how all the mecha technology and the ancient civilizations came into play. I really didn't understand the majority of the world politics either and what role each region played. I don't know why sometimes the mech needed to be plugged in and other times it didn't. I didn't understand how Kenshi's mech was upgraded near the end. I didn't understand how when a mech got wrecked it turned into some sort of big egg and then fixed itself somehow. I didn't really get why each person walked into a generic mech and then it transformed into their own custom version. I'm not saying the story was bad. It was actually fun and pretty solid, but I just really didn't get a lot of the subtle nuances. So if you really wanted to pay attention to detail and completely understand everything, this one might be a bit hard to follow. And so one other thing I have to add is that they do that thing where there's a convenient plot reason for Kenshi to get really powered up each of the different steps. You've seen it a ton of times before, where the main character is just strong enough at the right time, aka Dragon Ball Z. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. If that kind of thing bugs you, you might get frustrated in that reason as well. The art in this anime was great. The mechs looked cool and were each unique. The graphics were done well, but the character designs were, for the most part, pretty standard. I did enjoy the vast use of bright colors. This one always felt cheery and vibrant. I was also surprised at the variety of scenery and how well each was done. Be it the forest, the Holy Land, or any of the other places they went on the adventure, it all looked great. I also thought some of the characters were done extremely well, specifically the Dark Elf Princess, Mazaya, and Chaya. The soundtrack of this anime was also very good. There were a ton of standout tracks and I really enjoyed how the OST added to a diversity in the anime that made it stand out in the genre. There's one thing that made me laugh though. In the second to last episode ending, when all the forces of good and evil are gathering up for the final fight, this really upbeat music is playing that completely doesn't fit the mood at all. I remember laughing and thinking how unique and interesting that was. Alright, so how about the characters? I think this is going to be the other element of the anime that makes or breaks it for you. The characters range from painfully boring and typical to solid and interesting. For the harem piece, I thought they did a good job of balancing that element with the rest of the story and the importance of everyone's mission. If you're the kind of person who appreciates a good harem element in a story, you'll likely enjoy the typical characters like the Student Council President, Mizaya, Yukine, the Dark Elf Princess, and the hordes of screaming girls. If, on the other hand, you don't like that kind of element, you may actually hate those characters and appreciate other characters like Chaya, Lashida, Dagamayer, Wan, and Kenshi. As far as the villains, they're generally boring and typical evil, with a small handful of them being interesting, and there's some honor and double-crossing and hidden agendas which should make things more interesting. As far as the lead characters, I enjoyed all of them. I thought Kenshi was a great hero, and the silly slice-of-life antics between the characters before the main antagonist entered were all excellent, if not a bit trite. You've seen all these characters before in one way or another, but they come together to make a solid cast. Alright, time to answer that most important question: should you watch this anime? So the kind of people who would like this anime. Do you like mecha-based anime with solid fighting scenes and a diverse cast of characters? Do you enjoy a silly slapstick comedy element which helps flesh out each of the characters' personalities? Do you like a harem element where almost every woman is in love with MC? So the kind of people who might not like this. Do you dislike a story that is complex and full of terminology and political maneuvering? Do you dislike convenient plot happenings where the MC is able to power up at the right time? Do you like a more traditional ecchi with full nudity? And finally, do you dislike when characters follow very predictable tropes? Alright, so let's wrap this up. If you like a complex story with typical characters done well, set in a mecha fantasy world, you'll likely enjoy this. If any of that doesn't sound appealing, this one might be painful to watch. Well, that's it for me. As always, I'm your host Joe, and this is GBE Reviews. If you enjoyed this video, click like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Thanks again, and Jeanne.